Once more, a new year is upon us, and as such brings in the winter season of anime. As always, the fall season was bloated with quality that touched our emotions in both hype and depression. From Don and ReZero duking it out weekly for the top spot, to Ranma and Blue Box delivering us our dose of romance, and Blue Lock surprisingly having a bigger fall off than anything else this year. Then again, it's still better than how Uzumaki turned out at least. In comparison to such a massive lineup of big hits, the winter season is actually one of the calmest seasons of anime in a very long time. A mix of noteworthy names and returning series, but overall, I find myself recommending quite a short list this time around, but who's to say that's a bad thing? As always, it's my job to steer you in the direction of the series that I believe will be worth your time, and with that, here are my choices for every anime that you should be watching to kick off 2025 for the winter season. Now, I want to start with my continuations from the fall and honorable mentions, starting with ReZero Season 3. If you are not aware, ReZero has a bit of an interesting schedule this time around, with Arc 5 of the series being split into 2 cores of 8 episodes. Core 2 will be airing on February 5th, so make sure not to forget to come back for it, despite it being a bit later than all the other initial airings. Secondly, Shangri-La Frontier will be continuing into this season as well, as Season 2 has 25 episodes. Pretty self-explanatory, as if you were there for it then you'll be here for it now. Blue Exorcist will also be moving into its Blue Knight saga, and Orb on the Movements of the Earth will also be continuing on as well. Again, I needn't say more. As for my honorable mentions, both 100 GFs and My Happy Marriage will be getting their second seasons. As I have not watched either of these anime, I do respect the fact that upon their debuts, both anime were enjoyed quite a bit come the first go around, and like before, if you were there for them then you'll be back for them now. Onto the actual lineup itself, the story of Sung Jin Woo continues with Solo Leveling Season 2 Arise from the Shadow. Season 1's popularity was quite explosive, coming from A1 Pictures absolutely nailing just about everything needed for this show to succeed. It still surprises me that out of all the webtoons, this was the series that broke the bad adaptation curse, but I suppose that's what happens when the stars align. Coming off the epic 1v1 against Ignis, we will now begin to see the rise of the Shadow Army, and most likely a continuous grand presentation of such a power fantasy series. Needless to say, I'll be there for more of that good action food, and hopefully the bigger picture starts to take more shape this time around. As for our second choice, Mao Mao and Jinshi are back, bringing us more drama within the Imperial Court with the Apothecary Diaries Season 2. This series is one of my favorite recent new adaptations to come out, and was a huge success within the community looking back to its debut back in fall 2023. Every little thing from the drama, the romance, and mystery complemented one another every week, and absolutely delivered a very strong Season 1. I have no doubt that Season 2 will continue to keep up that momentum for so long as Mao Mao remains in charge of everything poison prevention. Same studios with 2 cores back to back, kicking off on January 10th. Moving on to a weekly Shonen Jump series, now taking its final strides towards completion, comes Dr. Stone Science Future. At last, we are now in the home stretch of the story of Dr. Stone to reach its climax, with a brand new arc introducing more characters that will definitely be the crew's toughest antagonists yet. As a reader, I am very excited to see how they depict a lot of the biggest moments in the series yet, and overall, I'm just glad the anime will split up the content rather than a movie. The final events of the story will be split up into 3 cores, so if anything, this should go all the way to late 2026 if anything. If you've needed a reason to catch up on the story, then I can assure you that there is no better time to do so than now. While we're on the mindset of Weekly Shonen Jump, comes our next series debut with the long-awaited Sakamoto Days getting its first adaptation. Studio TMS will be tackling this adaptation about the former greatest assassin having to step back into the game to protect his family. I will be honest, I am a bit cautious as the trailers did not pull me in as much as I expected to, given I am a reader. However, Sakamoto is undoubtedly one of the best choreographed series in the magazine currently, and I promise you, if you think you've seen ridiculous fights, then you're about to be in for a surprise. Everything and anything within your environment and surroundings go, as this assassin story is about to take a huge dynamic turn. Sakamoto Days will be kicking off on Netflix starting January 11th. As for the romance of the season, we have Honey Lemon Soda coming from JC Staff. This series I have heard mentioned along the likes of Skip to Loafer as well as Kimi ni Todoke. The trope of popular male lead and outcast woman lead always manages to hit quite nicely, and in this story, Uka and Kai are up next to take the community by storm. I've only heard solid things about the manga, and considering the rest of the lineup, this romance series definitely seems to stick out more among the others. So if you're looking for a solid romance, then this series will surely be the one to look out for. As for my last two recommendations, Studio Mappa of all people, funny enough, have decided to make an anime about making anime with Senju. Quite the irony, I know, but that in itself is all the more reason to give it a shot. The story depicts a girl named Natsuko who quickly rose in the industry from animator gone director. Her next project, being a romantic comedy, has come to a standstill as she herself has never fallen in love and as such is holding up production. I can imagine that this anime will lean towards giving us an insight into some of the many responsibilities and frustrations that anime production teams deal with, while also telling a sweet story of this hopeless romantic and how they overcome this large wall. Definitely expect some interesting conversations to come from this original anime, and if this sounds interesting to you, then make sure to keep an eye out for it. Finally, we have the anime that I am deeming to most likely be the gem of the season comes Medalist. Studio NG is up to tackle the story of ice skating, which may be the first story alike since 2016's Yuri on Ice, which unfortunately did not get to continue on after years of its fanbase waiting. Medalist is another series that I have seen recommended quite a bit among other creators in a similar boat that reminds me of The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. The synopsis details a coach named Tsukasa having his dreams crushed and a skater named Inori having to fend for herself. Together, the two rise once more with burning tenacity as the destination being aimed at the ice on the world stage. While the studio itself doesn't exactly have the most impressive track record, the trailers so far have given off a good impression enough that I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that this may end up being something special to watch. It's not often that we have a sports series that deal with young children's dreams and ambitions, and this adaptation may put that on display in a really captivating way. Of course, only time will tell, but I do invite you all to give it a shot and see how you feel about it. I know we're all used to Haikyuu and Blue Lock right now, but trust me when I say that you may surprise yourself when you don't overlook potential looking directly at you. Medalist will be airing on January 4th. With all that being said, it's gonna bring me to the end of my recommendations for the season. Overall, I think that this is going to be a very calm season for anime, and quite frankly, a much needed one, as the rest of the year is going to be quite packed with exciting stories to come. For now though, I think we'll be starting off the year just right, and hopefully we can end up surprised where we least expect it. As always, thank you very much for watching, and make sure to let me know what you plan to watch in the comment section down below. Be well out there until we meet again in the next video.